It is exactly 10 p.m. in the studios of UBC TV. Hello there and welcome to our second and final edition of News Tonight. First though, let's have a look at our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Our top story tonight. Rebuilding impassable roads eases movement of equipment.
According to Roman Representative Sarah.
Ad hoc committee tax minister to explain ownership of property. Village health teams to be incorporated in parish development model management. And in sports, market vendors in a sports gala to boost health and social capital.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. Now, government is to study the independence of the central bank and come up with reforms that allow other financial institutions who would want to transform into commercial banks. The Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, says focus will be on strengthening government and local banks to ensure their existence in remote areas. She was officiating at Millennium Circle 2012, the business prayer breakfast here in Kampala.
Stanbic, Stanchart, DFCU and government banks that include Uganda Development Bank, Housing Finance Bank and Microfinance Support Center financial institution, which are not established in especially rural and remote areas like deep in Karamoja. There is need to strengthen government and local banks, although the central bank has stringent measures that hinder financial institutions like SACCOs to transform into banks.
There are dangers of being a bank. It's not simple. It's very strict. Of course, the capital requirements are high, but also the regulatory mechanism is very strict.
The Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, told a business prayer breakfast of Millennium Circle 2012 that the religious financial institution has provided an opportunity to people in rural areas to save more than before.
Many of them are now saving in our circle because before that they did not know, they did not have an avenue which is very accessible to them, which they could use to save their money, but also learn financial literacy on how to invest.
The Mbara-based Millennium Circle 2012 has 7 branches across the country with savings of up to 6 billion shillings and membership of over 16,000. The patron Millennium Circle 2012, also Bishop of Ankole Diocese, Right Reverend Dr. Sheldon Fred Mwesigwa, urged government to stop leaving the lucrative money business to foreign banks.
If Uganda is to be truly independent, why don't we promote local banks? Why? Well signed. Is planning to raise the bank reserve amount from 25 billion to 150 billion, which you set aside and then start anew now. 150 billion. Now, how many Ugandan initiatives are going to make banks?
An expert of credit union institutions says the success of a SACCO depends on teaching children to save.
Of building generational wealth. And when I say generational wealth, I mean members teaching their children the value of saving both early and saving often.
Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni has donated a double-cabin pickup to strengthen monitoring and evaluation of the Millennium Circle 2012. I'm Nafka Farida and Juman Samba in Kampala.
Uganda National Roads Authority and the UPDF constructed works for the ferry that connects Uganda to the Democratic Republic of the Congo through River Semliki has eased the supply of military equipment and movement of both UPDF and FARDC forces in the pursuit and neutralization of the Allied Democratic Forces rebels' military capacity in eastern DRC. As Haruna Mtesa now reports, this is the third offensive route against the Allied Democratic Forces operating in Ituri and North Kivu.
The third offensive route against ADF operating in Ituri provinces and North Kivu in the Democratic Republic of Congo was opened on 8 February 2022. UPDF combat vehicles can now cross into Brassi in Democratic Republic of Congo using the newly installed ferry at Haibale landing site on River Semliki.
Bring the ferry on River Semliki was partly, to cut on the costs of supplying logistics by air to the forces, to the forward forces, because air. Helicopters take very small logistics. They take.
It eased Operation Suja movement of supplies to the forces instead of using the cost of air transport. And it accelerated trade and movement of Congolese people using the shortest distance from Haibale, Brassi, and Boga.
The road you supply, it's cheap by road, and you take a lot of logistics, a lot of stuff. So it has helped us, supply by road, which is very, very cheap. Using helicopters is very, very expensive for this operation.
The road from Brassi to Boga, a stretch of about 50 kilometers, has also been worked on jointly by both countries.
There were no roads. The roads per se were just paths. Where motorcycles would just use to play from Congo to Uganda using canoes and those small boats.
Operation Suja has 3 approach routes for the offensive against ADF: Kasindi, Beni, Nobil, River Semliki Bridge, and Brassi Boga route.
Designed in such a way that military logistics and the other materials would cross using the ferry that was constructed by the government of Uganda on River Semliki to connect to DRC.
Haruna Mtesa reporting for UBC News at Brassi in Democratic Republic of Congo.
Thanks, Haruna, for that story there. Now, Prime Housing Estate Company has accepted to coexist with communities of Kasanje Town Council in Wakiso District as a way of resolving a long-standing land dispute which has been existing between the two parties. Now, this was during a land engagement convened by Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba at Kasanje Town Council. We have more in this story.
A land dispute between members of the community and Prime Housing Estate in Kasanje Town Council, Wakiso District, was addressed to the Lands Minister late last year after scenes of violence and forceful evictions were recorded.
These people are just getting vehicles. We have to resolve the disputes in that place.
Since then, the ministry has intervened through various engagements.
After complaint by the residents, and meetings have been ongoing in the area. They did a public hearing and several other meetings.
Here, many tenants and squatters have continued to pin the managers of Prime Housing Estates for breaching the transaction agreements, and others complained of manipulation.
Kubazukulu ba Lobbato naye abamu ku bakozi ba Lobbato ku bakozi ba Pulayimu ebintu byange byabyonoonye
okuva 2017 mu butuufu sifunanga kituufu naye maama mbadde nkusaba manyeko wootuula awatali wano nkubuulire bulungi ensonga zange.
The parties have agreed to resolve the impasse.
Kati bwe nkugambye nti ebyapa 3 mu 3 mbina wala but ebirala nabyo ngana twabigabadda but buli omu ayina endagaano nja kumuwa half of the time inaire namuwa bwe mba namuwa okusasula mu mwaka nja kumwongera emyezi 6 bwe mba namugamba asasula emyaka 2 nja kumwongera omwaka.
Whereby Luta is going to give titles to some of the tenants, others decided to buy their interests, and he's going to extend even the period that was supposed to be given to them to fulfill what they agreed upon. Then those who never had a lot on their pieces of land decided to be paid, and I think they must have left. So to me, that is a good move.
Lands Minister Judith Nawakopa encouraged other communities and landlords to ensure cooperation so that peace prevails in the country.
We believe that it is a win-win situation because mediation is supposed to be done through negotiation, not by use of force. And we shall carry forward that kind of mediation because what we want is peaceful coexistence.
Robert Nyango, UBC News, Kasanje.
Police and the State House Anti-Corruption Unit have arrested the resident State Attorney Masindi Wiso Charles with a one Kunhira Rehema for soliciting and receiving a gratification of 1 million shillings from the family of Barlonio Joseph, who has been in police detention for more than 7 days on allegations of defilement.
It was reported to Masindi Police Station with the reference CRB 149/2022 Uganda Barlonio Joseph. After about 12 days, the suspect has never been arraigned before court. In the meantime, families of the suspect and the victim agreed on a settlement and reconciliation out of court, and an agreement was written plus a request to withdraw the case. After receipt of the money, the resident state attorney immediately wrote to the district CID officer calling for the file for purposes of closing it.
The 1 million shillings and then the one of 400,000. So I've made this a certificate for the 2 different files. Okay? Yes.
Kumara Philip informed the team that Mr. Wiso had asked for 1 million shillings to sanction his file of robbery. Philip had given him 400 shillings, which the investigators recovered from him as well.
That's the person. Do you know him? You don't know him as a lawyer. Okay.
Upon receipt of the request, the resident state attorney demanded for a bribe of shillings 300 million from the family of the suspect in order to close the file. They reported the matter to State House Anti-Corruption Unit. A team of detectives then went to Masindi and laid a bet of shillings 1 million, which was delivered to the office of the resident state attorney. The resident state attorney immediately wrote a letter to the district CID officer requesting him to submit the file for further legal advice since the families had settled the issue. The state attorney has now been arrested by the State House Anti-Corruption Unit.
Very sad indeed there. Now, Minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has told the ad hoc committee of Parliament that is investigating the Naguru Nakawa land fracas that she's not aware of the ongoing developments on the land. While appearing before the ad hoc committee, the minister said that it is the Ministry of Lands, Uganda Land Commission and the Attorney General to explain their allocations on the said land. Take a watch.
Not any plots as KCC at that point. Yes. If you did, to who?
The 9-member ad hoc committee of Parliament that is investigating the Naguru Nakawa land wrangles interfaced with the Minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, where the members tasked the minister to explain the ownership of the property in question.
But I think we are not ready to answer all the questions. Can you give us time and we'll come maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday after talking to all the relevant people?
According to Tororo Woman Representative Sarah Pendi, there is one Hakim Mulindo with different plots on the same property, tasking the minister to explain on the matter.
Seeing a recommendation to give one Hakim Mulindwa 4 or 5 plots in this prime area. So we need to establish how this Hakim is able to acquire all these parcels of land and others on this side. So
Legislators on the committee also asked the minister to explain on the ongoing development activities on the land and tasked her to stop any construction whose plan was not approved by KCCA.
About approval of plans, about activities that are going there, that you cannot escape from that responsibility. And that will be our major interest in trying to know your role and in trying to interact with you. And
tasked them today to go and cross-check. If there are no approved plans, they should be stopped. The developers without plans should be stopped forthwith today. And the minister has to report back to the committee today on the status of plans.
After the minister failed to answer the members' questions to their satisfaction, she was told to appear back before the committee tomorrow with all relevant information. The land in question is an 82-acre land located in Nakawa Division and was, in 2007, allocated to OPEC Prime Properties to set up a satellite city, but it failed and it got repossessed by government through Uganda Land Commission. However, there has been wrangles ever since. Shamim Naiga, Gloria Gutabinchi, UBC News.
Parliament has adopted the Koshava report on the operations of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. Deputy Speaker Anita Among says the report lacks very important information and therefore directed the Attorney General to do a comprehensive audit on UCAA.
Must have been.
In a report that the Parliamentary Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises presented to the floor on Wednesday 9th March 2022, the Minister for Finance, Matiaka Saija, is faulted for getting the country into a huge financial constraint after agreeing to a $200 million loan from Exim Bank for the expansion and construction of Entebbe International Airport.
However, we said we are still concerned about the agreement that gave us this 200 million shillings. It's problematic. So while we are waiting for the project to be completed so that we can do a thorough audit of this 200 million US dollars, has it been properly utilized, So as we wait for that, in the meantime we are saying, but there's an issue with how this money got to be acquired.
Sometimes you wonder whether they have gone to school or not. The way they deal with issues. So such people, that names or their names come up when such reports come, such people need to be dealt with individually.
The Attorney General assured the legislators that government has not in any way breached the contract for the construction and expansion of the airport, stating that even the first payment is not yet due. According to legislators, Parliament should desist from approving such loans in a hurry.
So this bound us as a country to the effect that in case there is any issue between us and the Chinese bank on the other end, we then go for arbitration. Where? In China. If arbitration fails, we then take it to the next level and go to court. Which courts? Chinese courts. And so Uganda was bound in many respects, and we were vulnerable, Madam Speaker and honorable members.
The report recommends that government entities occupying premises at the airport pay all outstanding arrears. However, some MPs think it is not fair for entities like security agencies for them to pay rent. Shamim Naiga, Gloria Gutabinchi, UBC News.
Now, matters pertaining to the health sector, where health experts want village health teams to be incorporated in the parish development model management by including them in the parish development councils. The Executive Director, Archist and veteran doctor, Professor Francis Omaswa, urges that making village health teams part and parcel of the PDM communities will take responsibility. This was during a meeting analyzing the outcomes of the community engagement strategy.
The committee hosts the chairperson LC2 as the chair, parish chief as the secretary, chairperson Women Council, chairperson Youth Council, chairperson Disability, a representative of the ruling party, and one opinion leader, but not a village health team member. Former Director General Ministry of Health, Professor Francis Omaswa, says the omission should be rectified to realize the objective of the dossier.
Parish development model is talking about data. These people have data from the communities, from every home. They have a register of the health status of every person in every home.
The director Local government's inspection, John Gendawalala, considers this call as positive feedback that can be captured in the future as VHTs continue channeling their concerns through district health officers.
My advice right now, you cannot have a VHT, village health team or member as part of the parish development committee because it was already approved. It can only be looked at in the future, but I encourage them to work with the line minister, Minister of Health.
Health experts met to evaluate the performance of community engagement strategy, a tool that was launched in 2020 with the aim of checking the spread of COVID-19 pandemic.
The reports from the health centers, the numbers of like women taking up family planning, long-term family planning methods has increased. The number going for assisted skilled delivery has increased. And in fact, the health center people say they are now overwhelmed because of so many more patients coming than before.
Japan International Cooperation Agency, together with ACHEST, oversaw the implementation of the strategy in Amur, Busia, Mukono, and Ngora as pilot districts. Japan International Cooperation Agency appeals to government to inherit the program and galvanize these achievements, but most importantly, roll it out countrywide.
We hope that the government of Uganda and the Ministry of Health to expand our success model to other districts. And also not only in the Uganda, but also the African countries.
Going by statistics from Ngora district, for example, latrine coverage stands at 95% as compared to 75% in 2019, thanks to the drummed-up campaign by the village health teams. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily band of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150*10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Owechitiwa Peter Maiga, the Prime Minister of Buganda, states, let us all take the necessary precautions.
Self-medication is always very dangerous. We should leave medical matters to the medical personnel. It's only a healthy population that can produce wealth. And if you want to work for your well-being, you must care about your health first.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibilities seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda not for sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. National Medical Stores, passionate about your life.
Start the year off with My Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Moving on now, State Minister for Environment Beatrice Anyuar-Atim has revealed that government will soon operationalize environment courts to deal with environmentally related offenders. The minister was briefing the media on the outcomes of the recently concluded 26th UN Conference of Parties COP26 Glasgow Climate Change Summit, which took place in Glasgow, the UK.
Environment courts to deal with environment-related offenders. State Minister for Environment Beatrice Anyuar-Atim also briefed the media in Kampala on the outcomes of the recently concluded 26th United Nations Conference of Parties COP26, which took place in Glasgow, Scotland.
I can tell you our courts of law for environment is going to start operating soon to fast-track the offender. We have now started getting funding for it.
Regarding Uganda's commitment towards meeting the goals of the summit, Anyuar said that Uganda has taken considerable steps in afforestation programs since climate change is already causing devastating losses of lives, land, and people's livelihoods. Meanwhile, at the National Post-COP26 Forum held earlier at Serena Hotel in Kampala, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Climate Change Committee, Lawrence Songa, called upon development partners to come up to Uganda's rescue in meeting its climate change funding goals.
Because of COVID-19, we could not collect enough revenue to fund our budget in Uganda. So, in some of the areas of climate change, we are calling upon the development partners to come in.
The Assistant Commissioner with the Climate Change Department, Bob Natif, said that Uganda has embarked on a massive afforestation program from the current 18% to at least 21% by the end of 2030.
The contribution we try to make is around how do we ensure that we promote forestry resources, how do we make sure that we promote the environment and natural resources.
Elizabeth Mwerinde Kasede of Equity Bank pledged support, especially in the area of awareness raising.
We are happy to support. Most of us in the private sector now have set up ESG units, that is environmental, social and governance units.
Some civil society members also raised their queries on Uganda's commitment to the realization of such global goals.
Find out from the ministry, why are we not responding to?
On behalf of the development partners, Gloria Namande, the UNDP program officer, pledged more support to Uganda in such programs. Joko Collins, Brian Tumwenebyaruhanga, UBC News.
Over 100 people are alleged to have lost lives in Barlonio IDP camp following the attack of Lord's Resistance Army in northern Uganda in 2004. Now, this was highlighted in a video evidence presented to court by prosecution witness number 22 during the hearing of the case where the Lord's Resistance Army combatant Thomas Kuyero is facing 93 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Meanwhile, the hearing of the case where 22 suspects are accused of planting twin bombs in Kampala has flopped.
Crime Division Court in Kampala is proceeding with the hearing of the case where the Lord Resistance's army combatant Thomas Koyero is facing over 90 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Witness 22 presented to court a video recording from the crime scenes after the alleged attack by the Lord Resistance's army at Barlonio IDP camp in Gulu. The videos presented to court by the witness were burnt houses, dead bodies, graveyards, among others. However, the defense did not object to the presented videos. Prosecution witness number 23, a former doctor from Uganda Police Force, presented to court a post-mortem report from Lukodi and Pagaka IDP camps.
My lord, at Lukodi, the doctor found 25 bodies, where 6 were male, 9 were female, 5 were juveniles male, and 5 were juveniles female, where juveniles were those below 17 years.
The report was done by Dr. Martin Musikali Emega, now the deceased, on 27th May 2004. Court will resume on 11th March for further hearing. Meanwhile, the hearing of the case where the 22 suspects who are alleged in the planting of 2 bombings in Kampala and other parts of the country has flopped, following the absence of the accused's legal team in court. The accused had appeared at Buganda Road Magistrates Court in Kampala from various government prisons of Chitalia, Chigo and Luzira. Formation of the charges against them. The presiding magistrate Asmani Muhumuza set 31st March 2022 for further mention of the case. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Deputy Prime Minister Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga has commissioned Ojanai Valley Dam in Apeduru Sub-County, Amuria District. The dam, constructed by Ministry of Works and Transport, traps water for animals and domestic use for the locals. During the commissioning, Ms. Kadaga pledged to engage government on modernizing farming in Teso sub-region.
It is the Ojanai Valley Dam in Apeduru Sub-County, Amuria District, Teso sub-region.
This dam,
the residents here say before the construction of the dam, water could always run away, especially during dry season, leaving them and their animals to starve. But the issue of starvation no longer be a problem.
I know we are now happy because we are now benefiting from it. We cannot now move far away to get the water, or a longer distance to get to the water. Our cattle also, they can't go away a longer distance to get water. That's why we are happy.
It has been constructed by Ministry of Works and Transport for a period of 1 year to trap water for animals at a tune of 1.9 billion shillings.
Similarly, the dam, which was originally built in 1942 by the colonial native administration, a local government then, had since failed over the years and was rendered dysfunctional. As a result, the local community lost their livestock due to lack of water during the dry seasons. The reconstructed dam, which receives water from 9 streams in the Awoja water catchment, provide water for production to the local population and therefore provides a means of livelihood.
The first Deputy Prime Minister Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga commissioned the Valley Dam. The Valley Dam, that has a bridge component, connects 3 districts of Amuria, Katakwi and Kaplebiong. During the commissioning, the first Deputy Prime Minister pledges to engage government and further modernize farming in Amuria District and Teso sub-region as a whole.
But I was disturbed to hear that there have been no rain in the area. And that also our people have to wait for 1 week to buy fresh tomatoes.
Osodi bobebe eraibero kitunga ampala raidar adaune sabite diopet arera ikwana adumuni akirono nyanya.
And that they have to go to Mbale. Mbale is a long way.
Era onadumune nyanya loti pero na korane eraibera lo simbale neskote gwele delwana mbale noi.
So the issue of irrigation I'm going to take seriously.
Akirono irrigation esumutoto apenyera na ibusese lo sangar kopene polo.
I'm going to instruct the Minister for Agriculture to come and handle that issue of it.
She, however, cautioned the residents against the theft and vandalism of the project materials.
I don't want to hear that you have removed the stones to go and build your house. I'll be very encouraged to hear that everything is still as good in the 6 months as it is today.
Philip Aguta, UBC News in Amuria District.
The Secretary General of the NRM, Richard Todonga, has called upon NRM leaders and the people of Kanungu district to lead for the development of the party in the district. Accompanied by top NRM officials for his pastoral visit to Western region, Mr. Todonga was welcomed to Kanungu by the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, who is also the Vice Chairman of the party for Western region, Dr. Chris Barlonio. We have this story.
Kanungu district in Western region is affected by region sectarianism that has hindered the party from development. The NRM Secretary General Richard Todonga is in the district to strengthen the party starting at the grassroots.
We fight one another because of religion. That I am a Catholic, I am a Protestant, I am a what?
He called upon leaders to work for the development of the party in the district.
We are thinking because we don't have facilitation, we cannot call for meetings. Yes, we represent different parishes and different sub-counties. You look at your sub-counties in relations to the Kanungu district. How do my people relate to the mother district, Kanungu? And how do I present their issues? And how are these issues addressed?
The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, also NRM Vice Chairman, Western Region, informed the NRM Secretary General that Kanungu social dynamics would soon change.
I would rethink the whole mobilization strategy to remengutwadekamu amani omuchibina ezina lya NRM lyahulibwa.
The Chairman NRM Electoral Commission, Dr. Tango Doi, requested religious leaders to support the party for national development.
Religious leaders, we all belong to religion. But when time for politics come, help us and support us and allow us to do our thing. That where we want. We want to make this area a no-go area for NUP and other opposition because
the district was also celebrating NRM Liberation Day at Rushoroza Seed Secondary School in Kihihi Sub-County. I'm Navka Farida and Jen Nyaramgisha.
Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, has reiterated the need for stringent measures against vandals. She was at the signing of the internally delegated contract between Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited and Isimba Dam Management to enhance the fight against vandalism of electricity infrastructure.
One utility court located in Kampala which complicates the fight against vandalism of electricity infrastructure countrywide.
So somebody has slept outside waiting for the vandals, has gotten them. So you tell them to get a car, fuel, put the vandals on board, with the police probably, drive to Kampala. And then if we need witnesses, you have to call that person, come to court. So I am fighting for decentralization.
at the signing of the internally delegated contract between the Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited and the Isimba management, Minister for Energy and Mineral Development Ruthi Nankabirwa said a decentralized system of utility courts will facilitate government program of rural electrification.
So that we don't demoralize the good citizens, the patriotic Ugandans who have listened to our cries, and they are now in the field looking for the vandals because they need electricity.
The internally delegated contract between Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited and the Isimba Dam Management provides autonomy and minimizes bureaucracy of plant management.
Two agreements demand that we be efficient, so that the efficiency gains we get here from Isimba can be transferred to the end user, the customer.
This internal performance contract, the UGSL head office and the Isimba management teams will be committing themselves to the highest standard of accountability, professionalism in ensuring operational efficiency of this plant.
The management of Isimba power generation plant has been entrusted with the engineer Michael Elimo Esimu, who pleaded for more operational and maintenance funds.
So that is a risk to this business. It is a constraint, but we think UGCL as a company has that commitment, seeing that this plant has to run and we have to maintain these assets.
Abdul Nasole Lubwama and Charlotte Amuge, UBC News.
Ministry of Local Government has inducted members sitting on the Committee of Public Service and Local Governments on the Parish Development Model. A State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Rusoke, urged politicians to spearhead the move in order to achieve social-economic transformation. Sudat Kai reports.
Ministry of Local Government has inducted Parish Development Model with members of Parliament sitting on the Public Service and Local Governments on the management of the Parish Development Model. Leaders were urged to enhance value addition, strengthen private sector capacity to drive growth and create jobs.
This is a program where every member of the community, every interested Ugandan, every person of goodwill, private sectors inclusive, we also give a hand and participate. So it is a wholesome program. Different ministries have different pillars in this program. It's not a one ministry project.
The leaders, however, asked the ministry to track areas where people meet first and streamline the stakeholders involved.
We want basically to thank the Minister for Local Government that she's doing well, because bringing on board members of Parliament who ideally will be the one to go on ground, educate the wananchis who are going to be part and parcel of this program. And we really needed to understand it. So her coming in is really very helpful to us, and I think we are very sure that now we're going to move at par with her and the entire ministry, and that is going to help this program basically to be a success. Most of the other programs have failed, reason because members of Parliament have always been out.
The Parish Development Model will be implemented through 7 pillars that include agriculture, infrastructure and economic services, financial inclusion, social services, among others.
Finance has a pillar, agriculture has a pillar, gender has a pillar, local government has a pillar, and so on and so forth. So that we come together to provide, to give enablers that will enhance the implementation of the program. The Works Ministry has a role, Energy has a role, provide power. If people have now developed and they would wish to advance into poultry to an extent of hatching, power must be there.
Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC, has started an awareness program to equip stakeholders with new skills and knowledge to understand the new curriculum on school-based assessment for revised lower secondary level. The institutions include those that train teachers for secondary schools in the country. Bernadette Nambi-Karhanga, the Deputy Director at NCDC in charge of curriculum development and instructional materials, says there is need for children today to learn what the world is demanding. Take a watch.
Acquired those employable skills. Even when they do not get a job in a government agency, they will be in position to put in place jobs they can do and earn a living. So that is, in broad terms, what is the focus of this education system that we are putting in place is.
Curriculum for O-level was designed on a competence-based approach. This competence-based approach is looking at what a learner can do, not what a learner knows, because that has been the emphasis with the old curriculum. We have been pumping learners with knowledge, but
Let's now take yet another break and return with business news.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150*10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Where does it come from? That thing that makes us Ugandan. That thing that makes us different from everybody else. Where does it grow infinitely? Some say it's in our history, in our culture, and in our hearts, in our warm smiles and vast miles of coffee, dairy farmland, and amazing maize fields. It's in our inherent pursuit to always be better, to never stop growing and glowing. So you see, we are more than just a waving flag. We are a nation of sweat and skills, a nation of ideas and inventions. But what truly makes us Ugandan is our quest to improve the quality of life for Ugandans by creating sustainable jobs, businesses, and improving household incomes. That's what makes us Uganda Development Bank. Uganda Development Bank, inspiring development.
There have always been hard times, but these days are harder than most. Everyone is hurting. Everyone needs help. But some among us are asking the question, what if we didn't have to go through life's hardest moments alone? What if we were in it together? And just by asking that question, he changed my son's life. He created an online crowdfunding platform for Ugandans to help raise money for each other.
Thank you, Nixon, for helping me.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's time to teach. Schools are open. In these days of COVID-19, teachers are not only giving knowledge, but protecting themselves and their students from the virus. As a teacher, you must ensure that students follow the set SOPs of always maintaining a distance of 2 meters from others in classrooms, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, wearing a washed and clean mask every day that covers their mouths and noses, and regularly washing their hands with soap and water. In addition to that, you must counsel students about stigma related to COVID-19 and discourage them from violence. Any violence against students from classmates, teachers or parents should be reported immediately to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Ensuring everyone's safety is key, so make sure students are out of class by the official closing time. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Welcome back from that break. Let's have a look now at business news. As the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, caters to the overwhelming numbers of eligible mid-term access savers, we take aside time to examine what new opportunities come with the new Nssf Law and also examine some statistics that the fund is currently running on. Mark Wadulo with more.
Pre-social protection in Uganda. The new Nssf Law now allows government officials, contractors and subcontractors, among other entities, that formerly did not contribute to the fund.
The old law did not allow partners, things like lawyers, things like accountants who are partners in organization, to actually become members of NSSF. Now it allows us that. It incorporated in trustees. There are companies that are incorporated like trustees. Again, they were allowed to register. And the big one is a business registered under any other law for the time being in force, governing the establishment of business entities. So as you can see, whole encompassing, because there are a lot of people, especially those who would work like consultants and that sort of thing.
Under Section 13 of the new law, voluntary contributing companies or persons in the informal sector are now allowed to make top-ups on contributions.
So today you make 5% contribution and your employer puts there 10%. You can now top up on your 5% and say, ask for 10% to be made, and your employer also contributes 10%. So allowing you to top up. Contributing employer who wishes to make a voluntary contribution under Section 1 may authorize his or her employer in writing to deduct an agreed amount for the employee's wage, again allowing you the flexibility to top up.
NSSF has 17 branches, 4 sub-branches, and 23 outreach centers across the country, slightly over 2.1 million contributors. For the last 3 years, NSSF has maintained a 10% average in interest payments to its contributors. However, it is important to note that the one-month compliance has been declining since the 81% peak in 2017-18 to 50% in 2019-2020 due to various factors. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News, Kampala.
Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is implementing fisheries licensing, which is an international fisheries management tool in regulating entry to a fishery. The purpose of conducting licensing is to promote fisheries resources sustainability through regulation of fishing capacity, entry and exit from the fisheries sector.
I received this on behalf of my youth and hand it over to the government to support the licensing exercise.
In licensing an online process to take effect in the fisheries sector, GIZ has donated worth 6 billion shillings to the fisheries officers operating from the districts surrounding Water Victoria Basin. The donation package includes electronic items such as computers and training to facilitate the smooth transition of fishermen.
And we hope that we reach maybe the 80% as was mentioned of total boat fishermen and others licensed and registered. And then from there on it will be easy for the directorate just to update every year the license.
This is done in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 14 and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations FAO Code of Conduct for the Responsible Fisheries that bestows upon states the obligation to conduct fisheries licensing as a regulatory process to optimize exploitation and utilization of fisheries resources.
It is of course also important that sufficient funds and capacities are channeled to the authorities involved. And it is of course my hope that Germany's support to this year's exercise will still be beneficial to the exercises in the years to come.
Since 2011, Uganda adopted online and electronic fisheries licensing to promote efficiency and transparency in the whole process. The Fishing Rules 2010, Rules 12, provides for licensing of all persons in the fishing industry.
Fisheries, our hope was to change the fisheries sector before COVID came in.
And when COVID disorganized us, it was so challenging. This time we wanted government, because when you pay money here, it goes direct to consolidated fund. We have been asking government, and specifically the president, to support the fishermen with engines, boats, nets, because the majority of you cannot afford.
The licensing of companies under cession require legal documents such as certificate of incorporation, certificate of registration, memorandum and articles of accession, as well as membership of association.
Onyango Robert with that story there. A business women community has engaged the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the United Nations Development Programme to benefit women entrepreneurs from the African Continental Free Trade Area. We have more in this story.
Trade remains a powerful tool in driving many societies out of poverty. Globally, the increasing women's rights, like participation in wage employment and ability to make decisions, has steered women economic stability.
Promoting women in trade, especially value addition, export trade, is very critical for us to move to another level in terms of our economic growth and development.
This consultation is timely as government is focusing on supporting the private sector for economic growth and development.
It is now time for us to focus on the delivery of substantive gender equality and women's empowerment in all areas, but of course trade remains a very important avenue for all of us.
Women leaders and entrepreneurs want to fully participate and tap into the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Small-scale manufacturers, they're trying to add value, but they are restricted because of the fee that they have to pay out of actually what would have been ordinarily their initial capital is paid to get that certification. And without that certification, for example, you can't go into Kenya.
To look at the cost of financing, because these are the things which are making the cost of production to be high.
Government also needs to implement regulations for export, reduce the cost of quality certificates, and work on the infrastructure to ease inclusion on the trade area.
We should also be helped on reducing the cost of production. And also machineries and all that should be helped so that we cut costs. The markets will be there.
Challenges to even export in the region. The regulations are very restrictive.
Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
Over 200 workers from Uganda Railways Corporation will undergo a 3-year training for capacity building on maintenance of the rehabilitated railway lines. Now, this comes at a time when government is renovating railway lanes for both passenger and produce services. The rehabilitation will cost 2 trillion shillings.
Uganda Rail Lines have been inactive in terms of passenger services and produce, which has hindered rail transport in some parts of the country. Government has started rehabilitating rail lines that include Kampala to Maraba border, Tororo to Gulu, Gulu to Pakwach, and Kampala to Kasese.
The line for passengers is basically a concrete sleeper line from Mukono to Kampala here, to Port Bell to Shengera. Concrete sleepers. Then the other line is going to be steel sleeper line. Let us not forget also the standard gauge railway is also coming. It is coming and also will be built in time, maybe in the 3-4 years. It will also be built, and we shall have now both the meter gauge railway and the standard gauge railway.
Over 200 workers from Uganda Railways Corporation will be trained on capacity building.
For instance, if you are an engineer, you'll be taken through best practices in engineering, in maintenance of assets, wagons and locomotives, but also you'll go to the field and whatever you've learned, you practice it over the 3 years. So over the 3 years, when these consultants are leaving, then for us as well as we shall be able to carry on getting to build on the skills that we have acquired over the 3 years, and we are able to now to operate URC in a modern and reliable way.
Stanley Sendegeya, Managing Director, Uganda Railways Corporation, is optimistic that the railway transport will be top-notch in Uganda following the renovation.
So passenger service is going to be perfect. Then also those who carry goods with us. You brace for us a reliable service, because we are going to cut travel time for the train, because we are going to have new trains. We are going to have a new line. So you are going to have your goods in time at low cost, at lower tariff, because the investment is going to be really enough. We shall have efficient assets which consume less fuel, which consume less lubricants, which really do everything that is expected. So
the 2 trillion shillings made for working on these lines was borrowed from Africa Development Fund, Corporate Fund of Spain, and Africa Development Bank. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
The Seacom Telecommunications Company has launched the Ugandan market as part of regional expansion strategy to penetrate the East African market in an event that was held at Serena Kampala Hotel. A State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, appealed to the investors to take advantage of the existing internet penetration gaps in the country.
Seacom Telecommunication Company is on the move to penetrate the East African market to supply and sell data. The multi-billion-dollar company will majorly provide data and internet subscription through cable networks and other internet-related equipment.
We've got a very clear strategy over the next number of years, which has been supported by our board, which is a well-funded strategy. So you'll have seen recently we made the announcements of the assets we bought in Uganda. We had a similar announcement in Kenya, and we'll have announcements in other markets.
While launching the company, Seacom Managing Director for East Africa, Jedpal Bedi, said that the regional expansion strategy will provide competitive and end-to-end connectivity and ICT solutions across the region.
The manufacturing, what are your challenges? What's top of mind when you are doing business transformation? What's your digital journey? Those are things that we want to sit with companies, help them resolve the challenges they have, and really build for them a business that is very efficient.
The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, urged the newly launched company to take advantage of the existing internet gaps to penetrate through the market.
You have all heard about the parish development model. We, as Minister of ICT, we are in charge of Pillar 5, digital transformation, digitizing the whole model. And we have already developed the parish model management information system. Every parish under the parish development model must be connected to internet, because we shall have a dashboard and we are going to monitor all activities that is happening under the parish development model. And therefore, every parish must be connected to internet to achieve that. So, Seacom, business is there. For us, our work is to create business.
Sra Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Recruitment agencies are concerned over the continued arrest of members. The chairman of the recruitment agencies in Uganda, Baker Akantambira, says police cases against some of the members are uncalled for.
According to Akatambira, the association wants the Ministry of Internal Affairs to establish a police department which will be handling their issues.
The ministry to pressurize government so they can put in place a specialized police unit, like you see the environment police, which is able to understand the sector, and before they carry out arrests or any other investigations, they investigate and arrest in accordance with the guidelines of the labor externalization framework.
He appeals to the release of all members who are detained because they are registered and certified by the Ministry of Gender and Labor.
Tumanyo okulaba nti ba members baffe babakwata ate nga teri nsebe gye bakola kubanga balina license.
While meeting the State Minister for Labor, Colonel Retired Charles Egola, the minister promised to follow up through the ministry of Internal Affairs.
All our responsibilities is we as government of Uganda and the government where they have with all those responsibilities. Not only that, even the urea, we should join hands and make sure these people are.
Some of the recruitment agency directors were arrested this year. Brian Tumwinebia Ruhanga, UBC News.
Sports news now, and plans are on to have a national markets sports competition with a name being floated for it being Nssf Cup. To ensure they are ready for that markets tournament that will honor the legacy of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, St. Balikudembe Market in Kampala organized its own Susan Koshava Cup to source talent. John Bansentamu gives us more.
The MTN Philip Omondi Stadium in Lugogo has hosted finals of the Susan Koshava Cup, which was an inter-St. Balikudembe Market Vendors Championship. This championship has started on 8th January 2022 with a football and netball, and also had a skills development competition to promote gospel and secular music. It attracted 32 teams including Soya, Tangauzi, Nyanya, Butungulu, Bibi Main and Umuza Byokola. It has climaxed with Gonya beating Nkoko 5-4 in post-match penalty shootouts amidst chants of praise from fans and words of encouragement from players and managers. With this tournament over, we need to organize a friendly game with our various corporate bodies, especially UBC. The winning team received several goodies, notably a bull delivered by Major Emmanuel Kutesa from President Yoweri Museveni. Kampala Central Division Mayor Salim Uhuru, who played a big part in this tournament, welcomed the inclusive nature of this competition that augurs well with national development. This tournament is proof that the NRM is a very inclusive party. Here, we have all political party members in action. This tournament is a precursor to the Nssf Cup to be played in honor of President Yoweri Museveni in July this year, and will be a reserve for Kampala's informal sector.
We expect this to be followed by the Nssf Cup for Kampala people from the informal sector.
This Susan Koshava Cup was achieved in partnership with Equity Bank, Kampala Capital City Authority Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka, National Resistance Movement Southern Africa patron Philip Kakuru, with the support from President Yoweri Museveni, making it grand.
It is 8 minutes after the hour of 11 in the studios of UBC TV. We finally come to the end of our second and final bulletin here on UBC TV. Thank you so much for having kept us company. Elizabeth Nakakoni has been on sign language, and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night.
Join us from Monday to Friday for Good Morning Uganda with me, Felix Mkono, Robert Chirabo,
Molen Kenyana,
Ruben Mpimba, with all the morning's essentials,
including the very latest in news,
traffic,
weather and sports. Hope you'll be setting your alarms, cause we are looking forward to seeing you then.
This is Good Morning Uganda. This weekend on UBC.
Forex trading has actually given me a life. It has given me a very, very good startup at the moment.
The appetite for Forex trade in Uganda is actually on the rise as an investment alternative for anybody that wants and wishes to make money. Forex Bulls is one of the most top-notch leading online platforms when it comes to customer volume.
Forex trading is a high-income skill.
Yeah.
So you learning it are going to charge you a big amount of money. You see, that's the first thing.
What keeps you pushing? Because if you make $1 million or $2 million a day, what keeps you pushing? What more do you still want with this?
Now, to me personally, you see, actually me getting into this, it was my only option at that point. So when I got into this and I found out that I could actually make it something bigger. Now I have this thing in me telling me that, okay, if you have actually made it in here, why not at least improve someone's life? You know, why not share this with someone?
Buli munya-Uganda nayitinga amakuru marungi. UBC West eyina amakuru marungi kandi agali kwesigwa. Leero za program zaayo ziri omulunya kitara hamwe n'orufumbira. UBC West eyina tekinologiya ey'omulembe eri kugibaasisa kuhika omu bicweka byona omu ihanga nangu n'aheeru y'eihanga. Tukwatire aha frequencies ezo. Kisoro 97.7 Fama. Kalari 93.7 Fama. Hoima 99.1 Fama. Kampala 105.7 Fama. Mbarara 97.4 Fama. Footpoto 98.8 Fama. Masindi 5 Fama. Kurikiriza UBC West ohulire embaganiza. UBC West empika huna.
Don't avoid the subject, and then out of nowhere, this.
You could say he's very angry because he feels Ukraine should belong to Russia. It used to be in the Soviet Union, and it's as if he wants to take a toy back. A helpful comparison is that the other countries are like teachers and other adults saying, "No, you can't take the toy back. Let's find another solution."
Perhaps the Times believes children don't need to be taught more than one side of a dispute. After all, there's no mention of Ukraine's neo-fascist military brigades that have been indiscriminately bombing Donbass civilians over the past 8 years, killing thousands. The 2014 torching of Odessa's trade union building, in which dozens were killed. Kiev's stated desire to reconsider nuclear weapons. All this is left out. Instead, parents are told to redirect their kids to reliable media, like the BBC.
Make sure that you point them to BBC News and other reliable sources of information. Make sure that they know that they can tell you what they have seen or read without getting into trouble.
Publicly funded British news provider that somehow carries the torch of reliability more than other outlets? Let's hear what the UK's Culture Secretary has to say about that.
I think the BBC just believe they're absolutely right about everything, and they have a world view and a view of the UK which is, I think, sometimes very wrong.
And of course, we can't forget to point the finger at Russia for nuclear fear-mongering.
As to the nuclear threat, you could say Putin has said that, but his country would be the first to be destroyed if he did, so he would never take that risk, I don't think. You could also say I don't think other countries wouldn't allow him to take that risk.
While the blame seems to be entirely thrown onto the shoulders of Vladimir Putin, no mention at all is given to the British Foreign Secretary's comments, which Moscow says provoked raising its nuclear readiness.
And it's vitally important that Putin's ambitions stop in Ukraine. He's stated publicly that he wants to regain control of vast swathes of Eastern Europe, whether it's Poland, Moldova, the Baltics. we must make sure that we are doing all we can to back the Ukrainian resistance.
As for the Russian president taking other kids' toys, the Times conveniently says nothing about the fact that Putin has already said he doesn't need anything new.
We do not plan to occupy Ukraine. We are not going